Pretty decent episode, but I wonder why it didn't air a lot sooner.
Pokemon! 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 Pokemon!
Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY&Z anime discussion. Today, I'm going to review the Noibat and Floette review episode. So, let's jump right into this. So, the episode starts with Ash and Company going to an open field. You see Clemont acting tired and stuff, so they send out all their Pokemon so they can enjoy. And of course, Noibat begins flying everywhere. Meanwhile, a Breloom, somewhere in the forest, is drawing a Floette and crushing on it. And of course, then we see Noibat flying through the trees and then crashing into Noibat, or Breloom. Noibat crashes into Noibat. So then the opening theme starts, and then when it returns, it goes back to Ash and Company. And we get this very adorable scene of Bonnie and Puny-chan. Puny-chan's like, ooh, what's going on here? And then, of course, Bonnie sneaking up and then grabs it and then basically rubs on Puny-chan. So that's the real reason that Puny-chan wanted to go back to Bonnie. So anyway, it was an adorable scene, so that was pretty cool. So then anyway, we go back to Noibat laying on Breloom's flowers that it was holding prior to Noibat crushing into it. Breloom gets upset and starts attacking Noibat by using poison powder. Noibat gets poisoned, screams while it's being poisoned, which gets the attention of Ash and Company. Hawlucha does the cool thing and flies after to check up on Noibat, and everyone else recalls their Pokemon and follows Hawlucha to the screams of Noibat. So yeah, sorry Talonflame, you got a minimal role in this episode. So anyway, back to Breloom, who continues to pound on Noibat until Hawlucha and Ash arrive. And then of course we see Noibat is poisoned, and there's apparently there's no immediate relief. I think Clemont may have said there's nothing we can do. I mean, the Pokemon Center is too far away. We have nothing to heal it, and I think that's where we got Bonnie is upset or shocked or something like that. And then of course a Floette comes flying down out of nowhere and uses aromatherapy on Noibat. What's really cool is the moment that Floette actually appeared, and I think in other situations, in real world, like if there was a bug flying down, like a giant Floette-sized bug, I'm pretty sure it would scare anyone, but the group was just kind of like, oh, hey, a Floette. It was really cool that Ash actually recognized Floette as opposed to, whoa, what are you? So after aromatherapy, we see that Team Rocket is spying on Ash and Company as usual, and Jessie wants to catch Floette for Pokemon showcases because all she really has is Gourgeist and Wobbuffet and Meowth, and James apparently isn't letting Jessie use Inkay for whatever reason. So and I made a note here that, Jesse, if you, Team Rocket, would actually use a Pokeball instead of using cages and nets, you can actually catch a Pokemon, and then Ash and Company wouldn't be able to come after you. They probably still would, like in the Yanma episode in Diamond and Pearl, but, whatever. Oh well, they have to use cages and nets. So anyway, then Floette then gets carried by the wind, and then Noibat goes after it and saves it, and Noibat and Floette have a very nice bonding moment. Breloom sees this and gets really upset and jealous. And then of course then there's this big fight. It's like a few minutes long, and it's between Noibat and Breloom, and then Noibat tries to do its best. I think it manages to get a tackle in, but then Breloom turns it around, and before Breloom can deal the final blow, that's when Floette intervenes. I did mention here earlier that apparently this Breloom is more powerful than Celosia's Drapion and Bryony's Bisharp, because at least Noibat would have been able to handle those Pokemon almost okay, but somehow this Breloom is doing so much. So yeah, kind of weird. But anyway, I think Floette intervening may not have been a great idea, because at this particular point, Team Rocket end up capturing Floette and Breloom. And I say it's not a good idea because at that particular moment, I think everyone's guard was down, so that's potentially why. Then again, it doesn't really matter. They probably would have done it anyway. So after that, Clemont then uses his Probopass device, and it is Probopass because Nose Pass is just the nose and the rocky coloring or whatever. Probopass is actually the one that actually has that orangish hat that matches the color of the nose. So it is a Probopass device. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's a nose pass, but it is Probopass. So anyway, Clemont then uses his Probopass device and try and sniff out where Team Rocket might have gone. I don't know what the device actually does, but apparently it sniffs out wherever Team Rocket is, or maybe it was sniffing out Floette or Breloom or something like that. And of course, bonus points for Bonnie with her unimpressed and annoyed face. Not sure I'll be able to show it because the image that I would be able to get it's a small photo, and Bonnie has a much smaller face and expression. So you're gonna have to see the episode to see what I mean. To see Bonnie having this uh, annoyed expression as usual or whatever. So anyway. So then, of course, the device ultimately blows up to Clemont and everyone's chagrin or whatever, to their disappointment. And then, of course, Team Rocket uses Supersonic to find Team Rocket. Team Rocket are enjoying their victory, and they do the strange things and weird things that they do when they celebrate, when they steal a Pokemon and they have time to themselves. So, nice Lombre impression, James. Though you don't look expressionless enough. So 4 out of 10. Just kidding. But anyway, then Ash and company manage to find Team Rocket, and of course they're all like, "No, how did you find us?" Well, Team Rocket, you should know by now. After 18 years, you should know by now. You only got away with one, okay, and that was Yanma in 4th generation. Don't let that be your example throughout the whole entire series. So anyway, so of course, then Noibat and Bonnie. Well, Bonnie doesn't really do anything. Noibat tries to open the cage by tackling. At this particular moment, Ash and Serena. Well, I think Serena, was it Serena? No, I think it was just Ash that was battling against Team Rocket. I'm not sure if Serena used like breaks in or something, but I think it was just Pikachu and Hawlucha battling against Team Rocket or whatever, and we got this really cool X-Scissor moment, and it's really cool because when X-Scissor was first revealed in the gym, there was some wondering of why this particular random move. I mean, it made sense because it destroyed the the psychic type trick room, but there was otherwise no reason for Hawlucha to do that, so it seemed like it was just a convenient at the time move. But thankfully, they decided to use it in this episode, showing that Hawlucha does have X-Scissor, and it'll probably use it from now on in other episodes. And if it learns another move, it'll probably replace one of the other fighting moves like Karate Chop or something of that nature. So definitely props also to having Hawlucha use X-Scissor on Gourgeist, which is part Ghost, which would be immune to all of Hawlucha's attacks except X-Scissor. So props to them. So then, of course, Clemont sends out Luxray and uses Swift. And now, ordinarily, I wouldn't complain, but Clemont, dude, Luxray needs a different ranged attack. Can't keep using Swift. Why does it even have Swift to begin with? And it's kind of funny I made these notes before I recorded, but I also did a lot of other things before recording, and I saw the commentary of KG Prestige and Dane, and it was funny because after Luxray was sent out, Dane, I believe, was saying, "Don't use Swift, don't use Swift," and since I already seen the episode, I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna use Swift," and I was just waiting for that expression. But yeah, Luxray, normally I wouldn't care, but if it's only ever going to be sent out to use Swift, it could at least use a different move. I mean, at least Pikachu can switch between Electro Ball and, of course, Thunderbolt, and maybe Braixen can switch between Flamethrower and Fire Blast and stuff, or even, was it Hidden Power maybe, or Psyshock? I can't remember which one Braixen had, but I'll try to make a text note and let everyone know. So anyway, moving on, Noibat does its best to crash into the cage to get it open. It tries to do its best, but it keeps getting battered. Everyone is worried, which then reminds me earlier in the battle with Breloom, Pikachu wanted to help Noibat battle against Breloom, but Hawlucha was like, "No, this is Noibat. Noibat should be doing all of this." And of course, Pikachu was upset. It's kind of similar here because everyone was getting worried for Noibat because Noibat was getting seriously hurt just slamming into a cage. It's basically the equivalent of a human just smacking their head against the door or or a desk repeatedly, expecting something different. So it was very hard to watch. But of course, Noibat learned a new move, and it learned acrobatics, and then smashed into the cage, and everything's fine. And then, of course, Breloom and Noibat managed to blast off Team Rocket, though I wish Noibat had used acrobatics on Gurgeist instead of Inkay, because acrobatics would have been more effective against Gurgeist, because I don't know what Breloom did. I think it basically butted heads against Gurgeist, but I'm pretty sure if that was a move and it was Headbutt, and I think Breloom can maybe learn Headbutt, because if I remember correctly, I think Shroomish can learn Headbutt. If it is Headbutt being a normal type wouldn't have affected Gurgeist, so it's like you did the whole X Scissor, but then again, the head thing may have just been just whatever. I don't know if any of the, I don't know if Clemont or something mentioned that it was specifically headbutt when it used it on Noibat in its battle previously. So maybe it was just a body slamming into a body. So maybe that's why they can justify it. But yeah, I would have preferred acrobatics to be used on Gurgeist. But anyway. And then we get this really cool thing of Ash, Pikachu, and Hawlucha being extremely happy for Noibat having learned a new move and managing to do this. So it's a really cute, adorable moment. Of course, okay, and then Breloom seems like it's gotten over its problems that it had with Noibat and the group because, of course, Noibat helped save Breloom. But then at the end of the day, Breloom is like still crushing on Floette. Floette decides to choose Noibat or whatever. Breloom does that creepy stalker thing where it grabs Floette and tries to get it with it, but of course Noibat steps in, and before there can be another fight, the wind carries Floette into the sky where it blends into a whole bunch of other Floette. I think all of the colors of Floette, not counting Eternal Form Floette, I think was all there. I think there was yellow, white, orange, blue, red, and stuff. So everyone says goodbye, but of course Breloom is very upset, and we get this really cool scene of Hawlucha comforting Breloom. And of course, this episode really shows off why Hawlucha is my favorite Kalos Pokemon for Ash, and I don't necessarily mean that it's the best of the best or whatever, but I mean personality-wise, Hawlucha is number one. Everyone has their own favorite Pokemons, and I like Greninja, and I like the rest of Ash's Pokemon and stuff, but Hawlucha just has that multifaceted personality, and because it's just so ranged, Hawlucha glided after Noibat after it screamed, and of course there was Hawlucha being like, no, let Noibat take care of it, and then Hawlucha was happy, when Noibat was like bonding with Floette. We had that moment of Hawlucha being happy and proud and stuff. And then, of course, we have this moment where Hawlucha is comforting Breloom, like, sorry, dude, better luck next time, or something. And then just thinking back in the Valerie gym battle where Hawlucha was, like, dancing and being all showboaty about having defeated Valerie for the gym badge. It's just why I like Hawlucha so much in terms of personality. There just isn't anything better. This is how the writers should write a Pokemon. There's been a lot of problems when discussing Pokemon. Either you had a Pokemon with personality that wasn't that strong, and that would be like Ash's Oshawott, because it had personality, but it couldn't really back up the strength thing. Ash had to rely on other Pokemon for the strength-based moments, like maybe Snivy and Pignite or whatever. And then, of course, there's the Palpitoads of Ash's team, where they're all just about battling, and they, like, really don't show very much personality so much. And, of course, we do get occasional moments where we get, like, Crocodile, who had somewhat of a personality. Its personality kind of waned when it became a crocodile, but Crocroc definitely had a personality, and it was definitely strong. But Hawlucha is like the best example. It's a pretty strong Pokemon, and it has one of the best personalities, so they can do it, but for whatever reason they just do it. So like I said, the other Pokemon are cool and strong and everything. It's just that Hawlucha's personality, its multifaceted personality, is why it puts it over the top for me. And of course, that's basically the end of the episode. So I have some stray notes here, and then we'll talk about the next episode, since there hasn't been any new information, since apparently Pokemon Fan is...
Hello, editing Dustin here. When I recorded this video, there wasn't any new information, but when I woke up this morning, a new title was revealed. XY&Z, Episode 14, The Explosive Land's Wrath, Operation Capture Zygarde. That is, as far as I'm aware, the only thing new. Since it is just a title, I thought I'd just let you know by editing this in this review video. Perhaps I will discuss this episode in a later video. Until then, let me resume the review episode. Enjoy.
Pokemon Fan is going to come out this month, so I can't talk about Pokemon Fan. So anyway, why was Breloom obsessed with Floette? This is just a question. It's not really a criticism, but I say here, did it have a sexy teacher, Floette, when it was a Shroomish in high school or whatever? I asked jokingly because it seemed like this Floette was almost random. It just randomly appeared. We have a Breloom that apparently had a crush on a Floette, and then a Floette just so happens to come around, and then we have that Breloom crushing on it. And it makes me wonder, because the Floette didn't seem to acknowledge Breloom at all. Like, it seemed like it was just there. It's just like, oh, you're a Breloom, you're picking on this poor Noibat, stop it, or whatever, but it's like Floette never really acknowledged Breloom as a Pokemon. So I don't know if this particular Floette saved Breloom in another time frame or something of that nature, but it could just be Floette personality in general to go around and help Pokemon. So maybe a different Floette saved this Breloom and got a crush. Otherwise, it's pretty random, if you ask me. But so of course, then we get into one of the major criticisms that I have of this particular episode. And then, of course, I've already said this before, but why is this episode coming out now? Are you telling me that this was the only time that Noibat could get any sort of focus to learn this new move, acrobatics. I realized that maybe Scraggy took a couple of episodes, or quite a few episodes, before it learned high jump kick, but still, it's kind of weird. Now, of course, as I've said before in other videos, I think there is one particular excuse or justification that I can give some leeway here if this was actually the case. If Yuka Terasaki had some personal issues at the time that Noibat was caught up to now, so like 20 weeks or so, Yuka Terasaki just didn't have the time to have a focused Noibat episode, or something else was going on, so she couldn't voice Noibat, so the writers at the time decided to not create a Noibat focused episode. But then again, that wouldn't make much sense, but it's possible, given that it does seem like this episode could have come out much earlier, because the only way that this is actually an XY&Z episode is because of Puny-chan, and as well as Greninja. But Greninja, just replace it with Frogadier and remove all of Puny-chan. So Bonnie is holding an imaginary Pokemon and rubbing it, I guess, or whatever. Copy and paste dead endes, so it's a horrible video shop, a video edit, But it seems like this episode seemed like it could have been written soon after Noibat's capture, like 5 to 10 episodes after Noibat capture, but maybe Yuka Terasaki at the time couldn't voice it, so they shelved it. And of course, they reanimated certain scenes, including Greninja and a cute, adorable scene with Puny-chan. But it's hard for me to believe that the writers or the producers thought, okay, after getting rid of Ash's biggest Pokemon at the time, because why not? It's been on the team for 17 episodes. Let's get rid of it. It's too strong. Okay, 6 episodes later, after the Valerie Gym leader, let's give Ash an egg Pokemon and have it be Noibat. It doesn't make any sense that 20 weeks later, because it is weeks, because an episode a week, and it's been like 24, 27 episodes since Noibat's capture episode, that they decided, oh, hey, let's give it an episode where it battles and, of course, learns a new move. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know it happens, but I feel like there had to have been a reason for something like that. So maybe some personal issues. And that's the only way that I will excuse why this episode is so late, is because of that particular reason. But it is what it is, so I guess we have to move on from there. So, oh well. So, I do also have a minor criticism, and this is the plot in regards to Breloom, Floette, and Noibat. And I realize that this is the Kalos region, and of course it's based off of France and everything like that. But I'm still not sure why Noibat had to get into a plot about a creepy love story in regards to Breloom and Floette. I'm not saying that it was bad, and ultimately the criticism really doesn't matter because it didn't affect me that much. But I feel like Noibat learning acrobatics would have been better if it was actually a training episode, or even a battle episode where Ash goes up against this random trainer and Noibat loses at first, then Ash trains Noibat, Noibat gets caught, or Hawlucha gets caught or something like that, and Noibat has to try to free it, and then of course it learns acrobatics, and then there's a rematch at the end where of course Noibat actually wins, is what I feel like would have been a lot better for Noibat than it flying all over the place, running into a Floette obsessed Breloom, and then getting in a fight, and then having Noibat have acrobatics just to save its new friend Floette, and just because Breloom was there, might as well save it as well. So it it is a little strange that this is the plot for Noibat, but I guess in terms of Noibat being a baby Pokemon that hatched from an egg, it kind of would make sense because I think they did this with Fampy, and they definitely did this with Scraggy. Fampy had Cleffa, and Scraggy had that Cottony episode, which is very similar to this episode. The difference being that Noibat actually learned to move, and Scraggy just got focus development. So the reason why this episode was fine and it didn't really matter was primarily because of Hawlucha. Hawlucha's multifaceted personality works better in an episode like this rather than a battle training episode. So that's why it's a minor criticism rather than a major criticism. But had Hawlucha not been in this episode and not showed off its personality as much it did, it probably would have been a major criticism. And probably the only good things that I could have found about this episode is, hey, Noibat learns a new move, acrobatics. Speaking of acrobatics, not entirely the move I wanted, but it's acceptable. Acrobatics is technically a very powerful move. It's if you don't hold a item, it's one of the strongest flying types. There may be a couple like Sky Attack and Brave Bird that are a little bit stronger, but in general, acrobatics is pretty strong, so it's pretty fine. And as other people in the forums have suggested, it is it there is a connection. Acrobatics, Noibat being a bat, so I guess that's why they chose acrobatics because, well, the Japanese version of the name is just acrobat, so acrobat on bat, so I think that's why they gave acrobatics. I still would have preferred hurricane, but as long as it has like boom burst or some Draco meteor type move when it's a Noivern and stuff, I'm perfectly fine with acrobatics, just as long as the other moves are ranged. So acrobatics could be the replacement for tackle basically, and I would be perfectly fine with that. So anyway, like I said, overall the episode was pretty decent. Not necessarily the best, but one of the better episodes of the X, Y, and Z series so far, and definitely would have preferred if this episode aired instead of one of them. So this episode a lot sooner. So anyway, I think that's all I have to say about the Noibat episode. So let's jump right into the dance party episode, okay? So I have some 4 scenes here that I will show pictures of, and, well, maybe 5. So then, of course, the dance party preview basically shows Pierre dancing with Arya, and then we get this fairly humorous scene. I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think it's meant to be consecutive, as in, oh, this is what happens. But the way that it was presented was funny. So we got like Ash dressed up in similar clothing to Pierre. It's not exact, but it kind of has the same theme. It's like blue and white almost. Pierre actually has like a key, and it's more clef key design, and Ash's dress is just typical, but he's kind of similar to Pierre. He doesn't have a hat, of course, and then of course Ash he holds his hand out, and Serena's just about to grab it, and then of course the very next scene, which of course is probably unrelated to that moment, but the next scene is we have this Serena being crushed or shocked or upset with this big what face, the like we've seen moments like that where something very shocking has happened, and then we get these like weird white eyes and very shocked faces. You'll definitely see it, so you'll know what I mean. So I'm thinking that's probably having something to do with me asking to the dance, probably, and just Miette taunting Serena indirectly, like winking or like sticking her tongue out or something like that. So then, of course, the next scene I think is poor Pikachu having to dance with Miette. Slurpuff must be a nightmare. Oh, poor Pikachu. Oh well, that's what you get if you want to be in the episode and have a focal role, I guess, as you do these weird things. So anyway, then of course one of the final scenes, there's of course a scene where Slurpuff uses its move, but the more important scene is of course Eevee begins to evolve, and we got that ribbon, and then of course that's the end of the episode preview. So outside of Eevee's evolution, I just don't know with this episode. I think it's going to be a pretty cool and decent episode, and it'll be a very great Eevee focused episode and evolution and stuff, but I'm not really sure I'm going to entirely like the concept of this episode. This seems like a very random concept for Pokemon showcases and Pokemon performers and relating to Serena's goal and stuff. So until the tag battle starts in the episode, I think I think this episode's going to be pretty slow. There may be humorous scenes, of course, but I'm not sure how much I'm going to enjoy it up until we get to the tag battle, and of course we get Eevee evolving into Sylveon. So that being said, however, Palermo or Yoshio is set to appear in this episode, so maybe we'll get that moment where Palermo in the New Year's preview says that Serena needs to find what she's lacking if she has any hope of beating Arya, or whatever it was said in the New Year's Eve preview. So yeah. Of course, I'll review the episode, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe the episode is more interesting than I perceive. I've been wrong on some episodes. Some episodes didn't look that exciting, and even though they weren't the best episodes, they were at least pretty decent. So maybe this will be more meaningful because of Eevee evolving than just Serena's crush on Ash. But I guess that's just how things are. I mean, I wish I could be more excited, but I would have preferred maybe, I don't know, maybe this was the best episode that could have happened where Eevee evolved into Sylveon. So maybe I'm just being a little not looking forward to it. I mean, the Eevee evolution, of course, I'm looking forward to that at least, but outside of that, I just don't really have that much of an interest in this episode, which is kind of why I was so salty when the preview primarily focused on the dance party episode and a little bit of Pokemon Showcase, and then the only thing that apparently happened with Ash was, of course, the Ash Greninja and Mega Charizard X battle. So anyway, I think that's all I can think of to say. There's no new other information. I wish Pokemon Fan was coming out, but apparently not. So that's a shame. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.